Hey, Kelsey. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well.
Great.
Just making sure all the ducks are in a row. I have a question you might know the answer to.
Yeah.
No one told me, am I supposed to let in people early at all or just wait until
Yep.
uh
The only people that should come on right now is me, you, Tish, and the guest.
okay,
But
cool.
for the guest, I would wait for Tish to get on first, and then so she can then let on the guest
Okay,
to
cool.
like confirm that she's ready for that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So usually we get on like 15 minutes before and just kind of go over the agenda for how the Sensei webinar is going to go and what type of offer I'm going to pitch and just how it's going to flow. The only difference that I was going to make was I wanted to go over the You Should Do Voiceover workout being Monday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, and that's the offer that they can use the Dojo 50 offer to answer this class. So I just wanted to say that at the beginning. So, oh, looks like Tish is on.
Hi, guys.
Hello, fellow yellow
You.
fellow.
Yellow fella. Yeah, awesome. How's it going, Kelsey? How's it going, Tyler, Ashley?
Oh well.
Going good, going good.
Good. Okay. So you guys are talking about what the offer might be?
Yeah. We were talking, I was telling her usually we hop on 15 minutes before the webinar just to set the agenda and the flow of the call and how it's going to go. So there's no, you know, issues or interruptions. And I was saying that I was going to pitch to you what I already asked you via Slack, that we need to, when it starts after the introduction, let's go ahead and say, hey, we have our last You Should Do Voiceover workout here, Monday, starting Monday, no, today,
Yeah. Hey, hey,
Pacific time,
Hey,
and that
Tyler,
they can use,
Ashley. Hey, Taylor,
sure,
Ashley, I'm mostly
yeah,
getting what you're saying, but your connection is really, really garbled. Or, is there a clearer?
okay, yeah, I'm just driving, so I can dial in to make it better. So it
Okay.
looks like I have all three bars out of four. So I don't know why it's going. Can y'all hear me now?
Hmm.
It's a little better. It's still a little tinny. Um,
Okay, well I'll listen to you guys. I was just saying let's go over the You Should Do Voiceover class at the beginning of the call instead of waiting to the end for the Q&A so they can
okay.
focus more on the questions.
Yeah, excellent.
And
And
then we can Kelsey can like post it.
we can what?
We can post it in the chat again. in the middle of the webinar and at the end as
Yeah. Okay.
reveal.
And what is the offer going to be? Dojo 100, Dojo 50? What
Yep. We can do Dojo 50. They can use the Dojo 50 promo code for the class that's starting on Monday.
great. Good. And do you have those links, Kelsey?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Cool. And is Marco, does he know where he needs to be?
Yes, I sent him an email, so he should be on his way any moment.
Okay. But we've been in touch with him this morning?
Yes.
Okay, great. And I have not heard back from Lissa. Do you have a sense of how many people we're expecting, Kelsey?
No, honestly. I
No,
don't
right.
know where to look at that.
Yeah, no worries. That's okay. That's okay.
I am mobile. If I was not mobile, then I would be able to look into Keep and type in the tag to see how many have registered.
Yeah.
But if there's already people lining up, like waiting in the waiting room, I think doesn't it give us the count of how many people are waiting?
Yeah, well, there's
Right
only
now
one
there's
person waiting right now.
one person waiting. When I looked at Keep this morning, there was only 25 people signed up, so that's super lower than we usually have and expect. So
But usually I feel like I've been seeing like 20 to 35 people that show up. Maybe like the people that
right, but
register is more like 80, but the people who show up is like 25.
right, so that's
Yeah.
slightly concerning when 25 people have registered. That means probably less people will show up, but let's see how it goes and what's going on. Let me see if sometimes that last push, I think I checked just as the last email went out. So let's see what is happening here. Okay. Getting a little concerned about Marco.
Yes, I'm looking at my email and he hasn't sent anything other than see you soon. Perfect. See you soon this morning.
Okay, let's see. UTS November 2023. 4,900? I don't think that's right. Went from 25 to 4,900. I think that might not be the right tag. Hold on a second. View contacts. Yes. November. Here we go. 2023. Oops. That's not that. Okay, let's see. 30. Okay. And oh, Marco's here. Do you see that he's here? Kelsey?
See him.
Awesome. Cool. I might want to wait a few minutes since we only have 2 other people. Let's see what happens. Hey, Marco.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Apparently, some invasion is happening around my house. There's like a helicopter hovering around. Have you met Kelsey? I think you might have emailed.
Yeah, we emailed. Hi, Kelsey.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And then I don't know if you've had a chance to meet Tyler Ashley, but Tyler Ashley is our member support team. So she's
Hi,
here.
Tyler.
So
Tyler Ashley.
everybody.
Hey, Marco, how are you? Nice to
I'm
meet
good,
you.
thanks. Nice to meet you.
Cool. Yeah, so hopefully you had a chance to send out to your people that you're going to be here. Yeah, it's good. We've got about 30 people who signed up to join us, so we'll see who comes.
Nice, cool.
And
If no one comes, we can just talk.
yeah, we'll ask questions. we'll ask our own damn questions. Yeah.
Also, why do we all choose yellow? Hey, today is a yellow day.
It's
That's
kind of
true.
a folly thing. Yeah, so so this is pretty straightforward. I'll introduce the Ask the Sensei and the team, and then we'll have you we'll do a little we'll do a little well, let's see. I'll introduce you and the team. I'll let them know that there's an offer for things coming up, and then we'll introduce you, and we can do like a mini. I know we went in depth with your wonderful 21 questions, so you can give a little introduction to you, and then the idea of this is answering people's questions. So how can we focus on them and how we can answer their questions? And I think, like we said on the 21 questions, we can open up the discussion with, we can ask questions about, like, how do you use your passions? How are you?
Sure.
That, I think the things that's super cool about what you're doing is that you've taken all of your things and put them together to create your own path. So, yeah.
Do you want me to I know this is voiceover centric, but I do have like a Discord that I didn't share it with people because I thought it was only voiceover centric, but if you want me to share it with
Oh
that
yeah, no, that would
side
be
of the
great
community.
because I think the whole point is the whole point is how do we get people who might be interested, who might have some interest, and I think that crosses over
Okay.
into people with video games. But yeah, that would be
Okay, I'll do that right now really quick since we have a couple minutes.
yeah, we've got a couple of minutes. People are starting. We have at least a critical mass now. It won't be like us holding our drinks at a
It
party.
won't be 3 people.
Hi, good party. Got a little bit of critical mass here. Wait a few minutes.
Yeah, and any other links you want me to post, you can like send them my
Oh
way.
yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's okay. Sorry, they test the tornado alarm every first Wednesday, so I'm so sorry if you guys
Oh
can.
no, I've got helicopters. You've got tornado alarms. What's happening in Atlanta today, Tyler?
I'm actually in Alabama. Oh,
Oh, you're in Alabama. Oh, awesome.
yeah.
Any safety hazards happening?
It is a clear, cold day. Only thing is my dog she keeps throwing up. That's the only thing.
Oh,
So a
no.
little nervous about that. But she's also, I drive a little crazy, so she gets motion sickness, but
Oh,
even
okay.
today, yeah, but she hasn't eaten anything. So there's no reason. That's the trick to not, so you don't want to throw up before you go on a roller coaster, right? You don't eat the turkey leg. So why is she throwing up if she hasn't eaten anything? So that's really nervous thing, but good over here, clear. So just to confirm, you're going to introduce the guests, introduce the team, and then I can go ahead and share what's going on Monday for usually voiceover, and then using the promo code to Dojo 50, like 15 seconds of this is the class, this is when it starts, and use the Dojo 50 promo code because this is our last class.
Yeah, I think I want to make sure that it doesn't seem like, we're selling you something. So you know what? Let me do something. Let's do a Dios de los Muertos sort of approach to this, and dedicate this to our loved ones, and say that today is a special day, and something about something about I'll lead in, and then you can tell us about the details, and then we'll jump in. So I'll frame it like that, a little special gift, for for um for us, because I want to make sure that we know that it's centered around here, but we can anchor today with that blessing, and then sharing that there's an offer, there's a class coming up, and an offer for it. So maybe not go into the details, but just say that there is. So stick around, and put the code in. Like I think we want to be gentle and easy on the front, and then make it blend in. So I'll introduce you, and then and then I'll say, and today's a special day. I actually just got finished putting my ofrenda together. It's a harder one today. Yeah. And then we'll introduce Marco, and we'll go and let's get living. And we'll have Marco introduce himself, and then we'll jump into questions. So yeah. All right. Well, I think we have some critical mass here that we can begin. It looks like some good new people.
Alrighty.
So here we go. All right. Yay. So here we go. Welcome everyone to Ask the Sensei. I'm Tish Hicks. I'm the Master Sensei of the Dojo here in Burbank, California. And this is our monthly free Q&A called Ask the Sensei. So we are here to answer any questions that you have about your journey, where you are, what you might be wondering about, what you might be stuck about, what you might be looking for some inspiration about. So this day is about you. We're really excited to have Marco Cammarota here. He is a voiceover colleague and someone who has taken his voiceover career in powerful directions and made it completely his own journey, which I think is really, really inspiring. I also want to introduce our dojo team. We've got Kelsey B here, supporting and facilitating everything. So if you need anything technical, Kelsey's here. And we also have Tyler Ashley, who's our member support person. And before we jump in, I wanted to dedicate this Ask the Sensei, and just make note that today is a special day, Dia de los Muertos, where we remember those of our loved ones who've passed. It's been a particularly intense year here at the dojo, and both lost my mom and my stepdad. So in the spirit of keeping things alive and let's get living, we do have a special offer for anyone who's on the call today for an upcoming You Should Do Voiceover Launchpad workout class that's coming up. So Tyler, actually, you want to say just a little bit about that? We'll put it in the chat and we'll talk about it a little bit more later. But I wanted to let you know that as a gift in honor of our loved ones and celebrating life today, we have a little offer for you. Tyler, actually, you want to say a little bit what it is, and then we'll jump in and have Marco introduce himself, and then while we're doing that, also, if you want to put your questions in the chat, we'll call you up. And get your voice in the room. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Tish. This definitely is the day to honor that and to continue living. So I'm honoring my grandfather. I just learned he's being inducted into the Hall of Fame at his college, and so it brings up a lot of emotions because I'm the one in the family who has to speak on it and accept the award, and it's like wow. So gratitude, and just what we can do is keep living and live in our truth. So yeah. So we have our You Should Do voiceover, our final class this Monday. So it'll be 4 Mondays in a row starting November 6th, 3 p.m. Pacific time, an hour and a half. It's 2 parts. So we do start with Launchpad, go do that, and then work out. So what we're doing is we're offering the promo code, which Kelsey will put in there. If you would like to join us for this class, there will be a promo code that you can put in. And when you put that promo code in, you'll see what the gift is.
Yeah.
So
Excellent. Yay. So glad you guys are here. I know some of you have already done it, but if you haven't, that's good. So let's jump in. Marco, welcome. Tell us a little bit about you and your journey to here. I think it's a fascinating one.
Sure. Well, hi everybody. My name is Marco. I was an opera singer for a decade before deciding to transition to voiceover in 2019. So I've been kind of going at voiceover for the last 3 years. And then about a year and a half ago, I just as an extension of what I do with voiceover, I decided to start posting videos on YouTube all about video game music, which has always been a passion. Video game music, talking about video games, it's something I really, really love. And yeah, that sort of took off and has become sort of my mainline career, as it were. So I do that every day, and then I do my auditions as they come in. The first several years of my job in voiceover, I was doing a lot of direct marketing. I've done a lot of e-learning work. I've worked with some pretty cool clients, IBM, IKEA, Condé Nast, MailChimp, Carnival Cruise, things like that. So things are slow going, but that's the nature of voiceover in general. It's very, you kind of just keep going and moving forward, and yeah. So I'm grateful that I was set up and in a position to also sort of inadvertently have this YouTube success as well with the mic and the equipment and things, which helped with my, I guess, legitimacy. And yeah, that's a little bit about me, at least professionally. I'm very happy to be here and be a part of this, and hopefully help some of you.
And can you tell us a little bit about what is the YouTube channel called and how many followers that you have? And
Oh yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. So my YouTube channel is called Marco Meatball. That's my name, as you can see on my Zoom. It's not my real last name, unfortunately. And I started about a year and a half ago, and right now it's sitting around 246,000 subscribers, and roughly around, I think I've crossed around 40 million views. As I said, it's my full-time income, as well as just a real passion of mine, and I'm very grateful that I get to stream every day and talk about video game music. And that's really the scope of it, is talking about and analyzing video game music from an emotional perspective, thanks to the operatic background. And then also with the voiceover front of things, we talk about characters a lot. We talk about intention behind why characters do things the way they do them, and that music adds such an extra layer to all of that. So highlighting that for people and accentuating the value of music is really important to me, and it just somehow works super well with voiceover as well. So yeah.
Yeah. And I never got as far as doing voiceover professionally, but I trained for many, 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 many years doing opera. So
Oh.
I always think of in some ways I think like, oh my God, well, how did I spend all that money and how many hours doing all that training? But it became the foundation for my voiceover career, which has lasted 30 years. So those things that we do out of the heart, and then building our skills and how to use our vocal instruments, and then how to tap into the heart of the story and the heart of storytelling, it all ties in. So
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I would say that there are positives and negatives to being a trained professional as a professional singer, just because sometimes I will still go a little bit overboard with my enunciations or with my over articulations. But yes, but certainly like breathing technique is a huge one that a lot of people don't pay attention to when they are in the booth, and learning how to have some subtlety, and you know, and learning how to take direction and stuff. These are all things that sort of I've been lucky that have come kind of natural to me because of the 10 years I did the opera thing too. So yeah, I hear
yeah,
you.
yeah. Oftentimes I'll when we've gotten to work with some amazing people during the pandemic, we worked with many international opera people who were all available miraculously. It was a little like Come From Away, that the musical, like these people would never be together. And we've had the lead of the Broadway production of Phantom of the Opera, the woman who played Christina, and many of the cast members of Phantom have been through the dojo. And what I find is that it really is calibration, right? That oftentimes, sometimes people come and they have no acting background and are like, oh no, I have no acting background. I'm like, that's cool. That's okay. Because the way that we approach everything at the dojo is voiceover is communication, and communication is an exchange of vibrational energy. So we've all been doing that. And then when we step into voiceover, we get to expand our playground and how we do that. And then with people who are super trained, like you said, it's a little bit of like, okay, not a 5,000 seat theater, not a
Right.
1,000 seat theater, not even a 100 seat theater, like just a living room concert.
Yeah.
And maybe even less than that. So, yeah, it's all about the calibration of what your skills are and what you're bringing to the party. So, well, welcome everybody. What questions are on your mind? What's going on in your voiceover journey? You might be just starting your voiceover journey. You might be partway on your voiceover journey. You might be feeling inspired. You might be feeling like, ugh, as sometimes when we're building businesses and building our skills, that we gotta put the time in. But where are you guys at? What questions are on your minds? If you want to put them in the chat, and we'll call you in. And super important part of this call is your questions, because it's a question and answer call. So yeah, it doesn't have to be earth shattering. It can be just anything that's going on in your mind. What's happening in your voiceover career, and what questions do you have? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Let's see. There we go. Here's one from Lawrence. Yay. Lawrence, why don't you hop on and introduce yourself and ask your very good question? Are you able to
Hi, can you hear me? I was double muted there.
Oh, double muted.
Yeah, double secret
Super
muted.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you. So that's all we need in voiceover, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great
So,
question.
so Marco, when you first started and you had essentially no voiceover credits, I mean, clearly you're an opera singer, and that was part of my question. What did you go for first? Was it commercial? I know you mentioned e-learning. What did you feel you had a strong suit? So
It's thanks, Lawrence. A great question. I think it's something that we all sort of struggle with when we start is where do I fit? Where am I supposed to land? Who am I in the industry? And I think it could be very confusing. One of the things that I've really sort of picked up on as I've done this for the last couple of years is the idea that you really don't know where you belong until you start working in that, and you see like how often you are getting certain jobs, right? So for me, I found that my voice was naturally gravitated towards a sort of a learning dynamic, but so that most of the jobs that I've had in the last 2-ish years have been predominantly e-learning, as well as like college student applications and things like that. So that's something that I sort of naturally sort of unraveled for me as I started. That said, I always lean towards commercial first, simply because that's not only the most lucrative theoretically, but also just the one that is the best to begin in, because having that demo is sort of invaluable. And most agents, as you progress, will want to hear that commercial demo before anything else. As far as direct marketing, did I mention that I was an opera singer in direct marketing? Of course, yes. When we think about sort of this idea of marketing and reaching out and understanding that there is a whole world of people doing it, and this also equates to the YouTube angle as well. One of the things that makes my YouTube channel so successful is that I was an opera singer. I am an opera singer, and so that's a thing that stands out as a separator and a unique perspective that only I can bring. Right. So something that we have to think about is we have to find the unique elements of what make us interesting, for a lack of a better concept, when we're crafting these emails. So I certainly would mention that I was an opera singer in these, because not only is it an interesting talking point, it also led to a job. I did a promo for TBS for The Big Bang Theory, and it literally led with the fact that I was an opera singer, and that was a wonderful opportunity. So yes, I would absolutely recommend and highlight um, finding those things that make you you, and using those as a leveraging tool, for a lack of a better or more unfortunately a very businessy idea, but find the things that make you you and use them to the best of your ability. Does that
Yeah,
help?
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I,
What are you a tenor? Just off question
Yes,
there.
yes,
I
lyric
can I
tenor.
can tell. Yes.
and
Yes.
you
They're
mentioned
great for
Marco.
opera.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, so if you haven't had a chance to catch it, Marco and I did the VO Dojo 21 questions, as we always do before we with our Ask the Sensei guest. But it's kind of like the extended dance mix, like catch the whole thing. But we can share the link for that if you want to catch all of it. But I know, Marco, in that you mentioned that you're a very specific kind of tenor. Like, not only are you an opera singer, not only are you a tenor, but there's something that is what is that special?
Yeah, well, so professionally I was a lyric tenor, so a lot of the like it's without getting in the weeds of it too much, there are, so every voice type, if you're an alto, soprano, tenor, bass, but each of them have sub genres, if you will, or subcategories. And so tenors have leggero tenors, lyric tenors, full lyric tenors, spinto tenors, and held in tenors. And so I was right in the middle there, which is a pretty rare voice type. And so yeah, so I'm a lyric tenor, full lyric probably, actually, at this age.
Yeah, cool, 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 cool.
Mhm.
What I was thinking it would be cool to have everybody share something in the chat. What makes you unique? What would you say off the top of your head? And once again, you don't have to be a unique kind of specific opera singer, but what is one thing? I know Paul. Yeah, Paul's here. Paul's here. Paul's part of our Mystery to Mastery program. But Paul, I know you have some cool things that we've been talking about. Uh, love to hear that. Let's keep that side chat going. Like, what makes you unique? What is something that you can anchor um your voiceover approach? Like, what makes you stand out? Because there are an awful lot of people doing voiceover, and there's only one of you, so that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Yeah. Good. Keep that going in the chat, guys. Don't be shy. And Pamela, I love your screensaver there. Um, Lena, you have a good question here.
Oh,
Can you hear us, Lena?
Hola, buenos días, good afternoon. I have a mask I want to share with you all in a minute for Dia de los Muertos.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Marco, how are you? My name is Lena. I'm also a singer, not an opera singer, although I do love certain kinds of opera. I want to ask you how often you get to use your wonderful singing voice in your voiceover work.
I would say I was pretty lucky in the last, I would say that at least a quarter of the gigs. I've done stuff for MailChimp, stuff for Condé Nast, the TBS gig, Carnival Cruise, which it didn't end up airing, which was kind of a disappointment, but we had, it was a singing session. I would say that, so I was able to do at least 4 to 5 gigs where I was singing. Actually, no more than that, 6. Yeah, about 6 gigs that that we're singing, and it is interesting because oftentimes you'll get an audition, and I pretty much get every audition that says requires singing, so I do get to hum a little bit of a 16 bar song of choice. So yeah, it's not as much as I'd like, but also a good bit, and I feel grateful that I've been able to do that, you know what I mean? So that's, yeah, it's been good.
Here's a question about singing. I know sometimes, like, I am a singer, I can sing, but sometimes we need to put music to work, to record it with the music. How do you approach that?
In what way? Can you just
Well, I
rephrase
mean,
that?
like sometimes we get it's a singing audition, maybe singing in character, and then we get the lyrics, right? We get the character, then we get the lyrics, then we get a track that has the music and the lyric, the music and the words, and then there's just an instrumental, and we're supposed to take the instrumental and put our
layer
layer it on the top.
Well, so how do I do that?
Yeah, it's probably a simple engineering question that
no, it actually isn't that simple. I'm always very fascinated with some of my friends and colleagues in the YouTube sphere actually do, like, I don't know how he did it, but I know this guy Husky by the Geek, and he did a 142 person ensemble, which is shocking. And essentially what I do when I record is I listen to it in my headphones, in my cans, and then I will I'll sing along, and then it's essentially I just go to my DAW, which is Adobe Audition, and I will take the instrumental track and then mix it with my vocal track, just layer it over top, and then there's a whole other world in terms of equalization and things, so I don't mess with that too much. But yeah, it's literally just taking the bass and then syncing it up so that everything matches, and then putting it over top, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. We love getting some of the unique things. Brian's love for movies and animation, reading, writing, and children. Awesome. And Pamela has a medical background. Awesome. And disability access advocate. Great. Super cool. Medical and healthcare, Paul. Yeah. What other I think Kelsey had a question. Kelsey, what's your question?
Yeah, so I think this is a really important question. Everyone tells us creatives to niche down constantly. I'm sure you've heard it. Like, find a niche, stick to it, feed into it. How do you, as a creator, avoid essentializing yourself, or like making sure that you're not like just digestible, if that makes sense? Because I feel like, for me personally, I feel like I have to make one account for voice acting, one account for comedy, one account for singing, and it becomes so overwhelming. So how do you recommend managing that?
I just choose not to. So I'll tell you a story. So when I was an opera singer, and then this will tie into voiceover and then also tie into the YouTube channel, but like when I was an opera singer, I was with a pretty prestigious agency called Cami. They actually shut down during the pandemic, and they had a whole bunch of other, it doesn't matter. And my agent said, you're going to have to create a separate account for just your opera performances, and you're going to have to really like sort of dress a certain way and change your, your Instagram approach. And I was really against that idea because I felt that it was very disingenuous. And the problem is that no matter how many times that I've created a second account, I've never been able to sustain it, because the problem is that when you do compartmentalize yourself, inevitably something has to give. It's this weird thing where when we try to separate parts of ourselves and to separate parts of our identity, while yes, it does make sense in terms of like, because people need to see the box aspect of you. I do think that as a creator, that will lead inevitably to some sort of disconnect within yourself. And so niching down, it depends. Niching down in terms of voiceover, I don't necessarily think one needs to. I'm really good friends with the fantastic voice actor Rob Moreira, who could speak way better than about this than I could. But Rob has never niched down. He's been in video games. He's been in commercials. Does audiobooks. He's done e-learning, corporate narration, political, Spanish speaking, whatever. So like Rob is able to do all these things and not niche down. Whereas like me, inevitably, I ended up sort of niching into e-learning and into sort of this like college thing, because that's what works. But I've gotten, I still do commercial work when it comes in, and I still do interactive video game work when it comes in. So in that regard, I don't think you really need to niche down nearly as much as you may think. And then as far as being a creator, yes, I do think that so I talk about video game music on my channel, and that is a niche, right? But the problem is that within that umbrella of video game music, there are also subcategories. There are video games that appeal to people. There is music that appeals to certain people. And if you look at the landscape, niching down to one specific thing will net more success, generally speaking. However, that said, you just have to sort of pick a lane that you feel you'd like to stay in without it also causing distress for you emotionally long term. You have to find ways to sustain it. And the problem is that inspiration never lasts. So how do you maintain that passion for a niche? You just really, 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 really need to ensure that the niche that you decide to be creative in is a niche that you truly love. It's very hard. Does that answer it? I feel like that's sort of, it's an amorphous idea, but does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, and like I also feel like the question was also a part of maintaining your identity instead of like just morphing to whatever like an audience wants. That's what
You
I would
can't
be
do that.
worried about.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
You have to be selfish bravely, which is very difficult, because for instance, for me, like I've been dealing with this because I've actually had a little bit of a slow month in terms of views and things. Like everything's sort of dipped a little bit. Like instead of 2.2 million views per video per month, to this month it dipped to like, I don't know, it's still a great number, so I'm not really complaining. But like YouTube shows the like gray arrow pointing down, which is stressful as a creator, because you're like, oh shit, like I need to do something to pop it off or whatever. But so all that to say, like, if you only do things based on audience wants, then it becomes disingenuous, it becomes exhausting, it becomes a job, and it becomes not fun. And so like, even though like my view counts have not been as high as normal, I'm not stressed about it, because I know that what I'm doing is still like impacting at least one or two people at this level of where I'm at. That matters to me more. It matters more to me to have 1,000 people that are genuinely interested in what I'm sharing, rather than always going for like a 30K, 40K, 50K video, which is nice and nice for income, nice for, feeling good about myself. But it's disingenuous if that's all I do. If it's if it's a specific subject that I am not as interested in as some of the other stuff, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, excellent. And I think that's really, really important. One of the things we talk about at the dojo is always there is no they, there's only we. So if we oftentimes that comes up when people are talking about agents or representation or casting people, or what do they want, or agency people, ad agency, what are they looking for, and I'll do that. But it's also interesting to think what what you just said made me think and feel right. And it's also we who is receiving, who are we impacting, who are we connecting with as we share our voice. That's part of the we too. So
It's
yeah.
hard because when you're in the booth and you're doing these auditions, you know that the objective ultimately, if we think about it from a standard actor perspective, the objective is to book. But the problem is that you can't do anything with booking is sort of useless. Like booking is wonderful because we all want to be voice talent and make money and be successful. I certainly do every day. But the problem is that if I get an audition, let's say I don't get as many interactive auditions as I would like. I get an audition for an interactive project. I immediately think this is going to change my life. Oh my God, if I would book this, that my fans on the channel would go nuts. Oh my God, I really wish I got more of these auditions. So then it becomes skewed because it's not about like, ooh, this is going to be really fun to play with when I get in the booth. Like who cares? I mean, who cares if I book it? So we really want to adjust that expectation to be about play and to be about experiencing the gift of like being able to act in a day or to like read a nice commercial script or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that ultimately matters more than booking, even though yes, we do need to make money as a member of a society, but you know what I mean? So I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
Great.
you. That was a great answer.
Oh, sure.
Deirdre shared love astrology and studied statistics. That's kind of cool. Lots of implications there. Why don't you come on in and ask your question, Deirdre?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay. My question is, how do you know that you have enough training when it comes to your first demo? Because right now I'm at the period where I did some training, but I don't know if I'm ready for the demo yet, but I don't know how far to go into training to know that I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, I have a quick answer, and I know, Marco, we were kind of talking about this. We were kind of talking about this in 21 questions as well. Um, so at the dojo, one of the simple barometers that we use is, are you able to pick up any piece of copy that's put in front of you and nail it within 1 or 2 takes without any direction? And can you honestly say that? And obviously, if you're working on your commercial demo, you don't necessarily need to need to be able to do all the other genres per se. But we want you to be prepared for what's beyond your demo, right? How do you think of not only doing your demo, but are you prepared to deliver beyond your demo? So in terms of the other things, other genres, ideally what will happen when you produce a really competitive commercial demo, for instance, then that will be something that you can use as a direct marketing tool. That will be something that you can use to build relationships with representation. When you have a killer demo that you're ready to deliver on, ideally you start working with an agent. That agent is going to pour in everything that is available, right? Like they're going to see what you can do as you're on a roster. So you need to be able to deliver that as well. So that's a way to think about it. And then within being ready to make a demo, do you understand what is required of a demo? Do you understand how to we talk about the cellometer, a gradient of intimacy and energy, different levels of energy and different types of commercials. Are you able to show that you can do that range of energy? And then going back to what we started earlier talking about, what is unique about you, right? What makes your voice yours? what are pieces of copy that resonate with you? So do you know what you're about to put your demo together? Those are sort of the things that, you know, at the dojo, we put that in a natural progression of belt levels, of yellow belt being exploration, green belt being self-exploration, which becomes your demo prep, and blue belt being demo production. And then once you have your demo in your hand, integration, what are you going to do about that? So that was a little bit longer answer than I had anticipated, but I think the key one key barometer is: are you able to pick up any piece of copy that's put in front of you and nail it within one or two takes without any direction? What's your thought on that, Marco? I know you had mentioned something that you went, might have done something differently.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think, Deidre, I think there's nothing wrong with having more time. And I think even asking the question, I think is a good barometer to say, okay, maybe I need more. Something that I only say that because one of the big mistakes I made when I started was I felt that I had enough experience due to my background that I didn't need as much training as I thought I needed. And that was one of the mistakes I made, where I wish that I had taken just and now obviously I don't know how long you've been training, but if I were to, I did a demo in like 4 sessions, and I should have like 4 coaching sessions, and I was like, all right, I'm good, like I'm ready. And then a year later, not that it was bad, it was fine, but a year later, after actually coaching for a year, I was like, oh, I probably should have waited. Now, I'm not saying you need to wait a year, but I think I think having the confidence to be like, I'm ready, is a very different way of approaching it than how long is it, like when is enough time, how long is enough time passed to do it, you know what I mean? So I think not to make any assumptions, obviously, but I think taking the time that's required and just continuing to woodshed. The great thing about making a demo is that when you're with a really good demo producer, it is kind of like a coaching. And so as long as you're confident and comfortable in how you're able to deliver a variety of lines of copy, informational, sad, happy, calm, motherly, fatherly, pleasant, like all these different sort of adjectives, then really, if you've got that malleability, then there's no reason why you can't make the demo. If there's a little bit of like, ooh, how would I do that? Maybe less so. You know what I mean? So that's something to keep in mind. You're going to, if it's a good demo producer, you will be put in a position of success. But you also want to make sure that you feel confident with enough time. So I would say 6 months to a year of training is not unrealistic. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yes, that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
that's why I'm kind of stuck at. So I've been like, right now I took 3 sessions, and I'm like, I probably need some more because I learned a lot, but I'm just like at a point where I'm like, I think I need more to feel more confident on proceeding on. Yeah.
There is a moment where you're going to cross a threshold where it's too much. And so that, I think, would come if you're working with somebody. I would say, in my mind, I think if you find a coach you really gel with and you work with them for half a year or even a full year, then I think like it will be worth it up front to invest the coaching time so that you can say, I'm so ready, like let's do this, like it's time. That's a real big mental shift rather than I just don't know. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yes.
When one of the things that we talk about in Blue Belt, which is demo production, is we want people to feel itchy, right? Like, ooh, 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 come to a Fight Club and be ready to be put in, right? Fight Club is our working pro workout. Be ready to put in, and then also a little And then I love what you just said, Marco, about crossing a threshold. There is something that happens. There is something that happens when you're ready to make your demo, and then you do make your demo. You're different on the other side of it. I can share, Deirdre, my experience. So I've been doing this for 30 years. I moved out here from Chicago, and knew I was going to do this. I had started booking in Chicago and then I moved out here. So I arrived going like, all right, this is what's happening. Who do you know? What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And I did that for probably about 9 months, almost a year, and did feel that place of, okay, I think I'm ready. I've been working with great people. I think I have a sense of myself. I think I'm ready. And I did a coaching session with a producer who did me the biggest favor of my career. We did a coaching session, and she said, "You are 98% ready, and I'm not going to produce your demo." And I was like, "Whoa." And she said, "You have to be 110% ready. You have to be 130% ready, and then jump in." And that's how it goes. So I thanked her. She put me in touch with one of the big casting offices that really well known for training, and I was able to leverage getting into their working pro class. That just kind of was one of the things that I did next. But basically, I went back to the drawing board for 6 more months, and with this new understanding and this new determination. And once I did that, then then when I went out, I had meetings with agents, and I chose the agent that I chose, and that was the beginning. That was the foundation that I built for what has become a 30-year career.
That's great
Um,
that she did that, by the way.
so yeah, no, I say blessings to her every day, and that's sort of the approach we take, right? Another interesting image about demos and being ready. We talk about your journey from I don't know to working pro being a gestation period, right? So you have a spark. Anybody who's on this call is here for some reason, right? That there's something about voiceover that has sparked you, and you're somewhere on the journey. But if you think about everyone's going to have their own gestation period, right? Puppies are born in 63 days. Elephants are born in 2 years, right? So you're probably somewhere along there, depending on what kind of journey you're on. And you also don't want your baby born at 6 months, right? You might be so excited to become a parent, but you really don't want your baby born at 6 months, right? There's like developmental things that, it can make it, it'll be okay, but you're probably going to spend 3 months in the NICU, right? If your baby's born 3 months early. So that's a little visceral way to think about it, but might be helpful as well.
That's really profound. I mean, I feel that way too, even now. I feel like, I had like the me from when I transitioned away from opera and who was eagerly like diving in direct marketing every single day. That was one version, one sort of gestation period. And now that I'm on the other side of that with
Mhm.
with my current career and the way that I'm doing things, like I actually feel like I'm just starting to be born and having those,
Mhm.
making connections and meeting people and being a part of the system. And that's
Mhm.
interesting that you said that's really that's good.
Yeah, and that spiral keeps on going. I think sometimes we think of like, oh, and then it's a linear journey and I'll go here, but it's the spark, and then you spiral and you go through that opening your awareness, exploring, finding out what you're about in that exploration, applying it, and then it comes to here. Oh, now I'm here, and then you do it
Yeah.
again. And
Yeah.
what happens is then as you look back, you go like, wow, I'm way up here and this is so much wider, right? The spiral just keeps on going. And I'm 30 years in. There's big stuff that I'm always learning. Everything's always changing. I'm changing. The business is changing. So yeah, it's an ongoing process. And I think that's an interesting mindset too, to recognize that this is work that no matter where you are on your life journey, one of the other things I love about the dojo is that, we've worked with high school kids and we have like retired federal judges. Like we have everybody in between there. So wherever you are on your journey, this is something that you can do for a sustained amount of time. So thinking about this long term, right? And then it may not be such a rush, right? We want it to go fast, but if you think about it long term, yeah. Good, 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 good. Let's see what other questions we have. These are very good, and we're got a couple more minutes here. Lawrence, we've got another question from you. Why don't you come back in the room?
Hello again. So are you getting most of your audition requests through your direct marketing these days, or are you relying on your agent? How is that working now that you're somewhat established or are established?
The first 2 years was almost exclusively direct marketing. I would say in the first 2 years, I was sending 50 to 100 emails a day, with varying degrees of success. Now, there are other folks that have come on here, like Tom Aglio, who have been way more successful at direct marketing than I have. But
I actually
everybody,
coach with him.
oh, do you? Okay. Well,
Yes,
everybody's
he's a
journey is
marketing
different.
genius.
Yeah. And his journey is very different from mine. I learned from him before he became sort of this guru of direct marketing, and while he was still kind of processing his way in. So most of my auditions now are coming from my agents. And so I've just I do my auditions as they come in. I don't have the time in the day to direct market nearly anymore. But it's always useful to like do a LinkedIn connection and try to engage in a conversation, try to grab a virtual coffee. I found that virtual coffees were way more successful in building a rapport with somebody over a cold email. So those are some things that you can also explore. Hey, do you feel comfortable grabbing a 15-minute coffee on a Calendly, on a Zoom? Like that's also an option. But yes, I would say right now it's all agent stuff for me.
Okay. And then another kind of quick question. You went out, and I think you might have just answered it when you said agents. So you have a separate voiceover agent, or did you initially just use your agent that you're using for your opera singing?
No. So when I left opera completely, and then I sent out a couple emails, and then I used the lovely thing that is friend connections, and I started freelancing with DDO New York for a little while, for about a year, and then at the same time I was just putting myself in a position of success with meeting people, and because really your network is your net worth. And that was what introduced me to Roger Becker in New York. I had a couple coaching sessions with him, and then when he took over for Access Talent in New York, he asked me to come on board and be number one. So I said yes. So I was, I think, the first person that was on this new roster, and I left DDO because I wasn't happy with just a bunch of different things. And then most recently, I just signed with People Store out in Atlanta, and that was through actually wanting to be with another agency, and the agent and I have a decent rapport, and so he recommended me. They didn't take me at his agency, but he was like, well, these people will surely love you, so let's go there. And that's what I'm trying to do with LA now as well, just trying to get that LA agent, and so reaching out to my network and obviously having established relationships with them. So anyway, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
Yes. Interesting. Thank you.
And the heart of what you just said, Marco, is the heart of everything. The heart of everything that I've found since I first met you, at Voice Actors of New York events, and in just seeing you being part of the community. My experience of Marco has always been someone who has approached this job, or this whole thing, heart first. And everything that you do is sort of heart first. I always remember that you would always be like, hello, I have
Asking a question, yeah.
I have a good question. And everybody, it's Marco with a good question.
Yeah.
Like getting to be known for being someone who is ready to jump in and have a question and be interested. And then what you're saying is, how do you get to know people? How do you build relationship with people and then start working with them, right? Like, as opposed to, "Hello, my business."
Well, and
Right.
most people are so damaged by the system that most people don't want. Most people are suspicious anyway. So I've discovered that, like, for instance, most of my success with the voice, it's related, but a lot of my success with the YouTube channel and meeting some of these people that I never would have met a year ago, with these composers of these video games, and becoming a contemporary of theirs, as it were, and being an essential tool for them, and them asking me to do stuff for them, has been about just focusing on their work. And then they are like, oh, so, and it's harder obviously when you're emailing an ad agency and you're like, hello, I would like a job, and they're like, well, we get a million of these. It ties back again to how do you leverage yourself without also selling yourself at the same time. And everybody understands that business transactions are okay. It's just a question of how you deal with it. I have a situation with a casting director now where he said that he would call an agency on my behalf, and so we had dinner, and I was like, are you okay with me asking you to do this? Because he's like, I'm gonna forget. And I was like, that's fine. You don't mind if I remind you? And every time I ask him, hey, can you call so and so, I always feel a little guilty. And so, it's a little bit of a dance, because at the, it's a funny thing. Yeah. But I do try to lead heart forward, of course. Thank you for saying that. It's very sweet.
Yeah. Let's get we got a couple more minutes. Let's pull out a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap up and remind you about the gift from our hearts today, and look forward to getting to talk with to anyone who's here anywhere on your journey. Marco, I just heard you say something, and we should talk about nth degree intensive that's coming up. That would be like just exactly where you're talking about, and also put you in front of 3 really awesome reps, 2
Cool.
LA agents and 1 manager. So that's something. But wherever you are, we can meet you there. And we'd love to talk with you more and answer questions more specifically. You can always sign up for a voiceover once-over call with Tyler Ashley, and get a sense of, it allows us to get a sense of where you're at and where you'd like to be, and how we might be able to help you do that. Yeah. And then Tyler Ashley, why don't we share the offer, the Dios de los Muertos offer for today, for the upcoming launchpad and workouts that are starting on Monday. If you want to share that, and then we'll finish up with a couple more questions. And Marco, if you have a couple more minutes, we might do
I'm
the
good. We can stay.
little after party.
That's fine.
So okay,
No problem.
yeah. So yeah, Tyler, actually, why don't you share with everybody how they sign up for VOOs and what the offer is today?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to say, Marco, this is as the Sensei with. I've enjoyed.
Oh, it's a little hard to hear. I know you're on the road, Tyler Ashley. Let's see. Why don't you try again? It's a little hard to hear you, so I might. Can you say one more time? I think you're thanking Marco.
Okay.
I think I got that, but yeah.
So I was saying, thank you, Marco, for a wonderful Ask the Sensei. You were dropping gems. I'm so sorry about my connection, you guys. But yes, we have our You Should Do voiceover class starting Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and it's 4 Mondays back to back, and with our Dojo gift with the promo code Dojo50. And we look forward to seeing you in class.
Yeah, and the Launchpad gives you that comprehensive overview of everything, everywhere where your voice can be making money. And the workouts are led by me, so I'll be working with you on those workouts. So, yay! Well, let's finish up with a couple questions. And if you need to roll right at the top of the hour, you can always you'll be sent the replay for being here. So if you need to roll, have a great day, and thank you for being here. We're here the first Wednesday of every month, and if you can stay, we'll see if we can answer these remaining questions.
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. So meanwhile, back at the questions, Jesse, why don't you ask your question?
Oh, there's a question up here about singing too. I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay. No, good eye.
from
Where is
Pamela.
it? Oh, I think Jesse's is above Pamela's.
Oh, okay, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we'll get
Sorry.
Jesse's and they'll go to
Sorry.
Pamela's. Yeah. Jesse, what's
Hello.
your question? Oh, hi.
My question is, I'm a beginner and I'm trying to find like my first job. So do you have any advice about going about that?
Well, I think everything that we've been talking about today is how you go about getting your first job. Um, and I hear your voice is very, very incredibly unique. Um, just a question that probably comes to mind all the time, but are you a grown up or are you a child?
Oh no, I'm a grown up. I'm 30.
Okay. Okay, great, great, great. Cool. Well, okay, so for you, um, we've heard you speak three words and we already know, wow, okay, this is a grown-up's real voice and this is what she's bringing to the world. Okay. So, how do you get your first job? It's everything that we've been talking about. Um, do you know yourself? And even when you have such a specific voice as yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know all the places that you can be using that specific voice, right? Obviously, everyone would be like, oh, well, animation, right? And probably some video games and little kid things and anything having to do with children or children's voices, right? And then within that, you could just create a whole career out of that specialization, right? And it is an interesting time for people who have who are grown-ups who have little kid voices because the trend has the trend has really moved to actual little kids and the authenticity of actual little kids. So, you know, in terms of your work and your so beautifully specific voice that you're bringing to the world, I would make sure that I understand what it is like to be an authentic kid and to know how to use my age range there, right? To be, so that's great. Otherwise, I think it's um, know what the business is, know what you're bringing to the business, train so that you're working at a level that you can be competitive and define what kind of work that you want to get, right? What first job do you want, right? What first job do you want? Um, and then do you know what is required? What happens on a job? Do you know how a session runs? Are you ready to, or do you have your are you ready with your home setup to run a session from your booth? Um, so I think there's a lot of variables on getting your first job. You don't have to do anything. You meet somebody and say, "Hey, I have an amazing little tiny sweet amazing voice. Do you need it for, you know, I can do that." And people will go like, "Oh, great, come do the job," right? So then how do you place yourself? This isn't it's you know, we talk about this. I say this isn't rocket science, but this is an art form that serves commerce, and we need to know both the art form part of it and the business part of it, right? So how do you get your first job? You get hired for your first job. That's how you get your first job. Um, and then how do you get hired for your first job? That's the next question, right? And I don't mean to be glib about it. Is there any other specific question underneath that very, very big question, Jesse?
God, there's so much to it. No, I think I have a lot to think about. But
Yeah.
thank you so much.
I'd
Right.
like to
Yeah.
also offer a few little thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think first of all, you don't need to tell anybody that it's your first job. You don't need to, when you're marketing, if you're marketing, you don't, please don't actually, please don't tell people that it's you don't need to, because if you've done the training, you've got the demo, you're actively seeking out representation or work. You don't need to say, I know it's hard because when we're beginners, it's very easy to be like, I don't, because there's an inherent vulnerability that comes with asking people to hire us and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
But
the
or
unsurety.
yeah, but don't, like, trust that I say that with with a smile, but like, trust that you are ready to be there, you are ready to be represented, you are ready to be. So when you're reaching out to agents, especially, you don't need to say, I don't have an agent, I'd love the opportunity to work with you. You don't need to beg for anything. And then as far as Jesse, because your voice is the way it is now, I'm no expert in that particular sound, but I think if you were going to be direct marketing, I would be direct marketing to Mattel, to things that are geared towards younger folks. There's even e-learning for children. They would love to have your voice. So it's about scouring the market, and it's going to be slow work, but there is a world where you can actually leverage the unique qualities that you inherently bring, like I've mentioned earlier. So there is opportunity for you, and obviously animation would be a no-brainer. Trying to figure out how to look at Casting Call Club, looking at different sorts of indie games that may need, there's the video game dev list that you can explore. Pretty sure that's what it's called, where you could literally go and see the types of interactive games that people are making that could maybe benefit from using your voice there as well. So there is opportunity for you to market your natural voice and not feel any sort of way about it. So hopefully that helps a little bit as well.
Yeah. One of the things that we do at the dojo are things that we call go guides, a dojo go guide.
Oh,
And
cool.
what we do is we invite people who are successful working pros who studied with the dojo and are out doing successful things and have a specialty, right, that they do. And it's a webinar, and they explain the aspects of their particular thing that they've had some success in and how to approach it. So you might want to check out our Go Guide with Chuck Wedge, who is a dojo member and also is a producer at Leapfrog. But it's a great little primer on how to get started in that educational interactive world, which your voice is obviously perfect for. And then one more idea, Jesse, is how do you take the inspiration of Marco Meatball, and make something yourself? What what can you do? What you do have something so unique. What can you be doing to create something that brings people to you? Right? That's another interesting way to get a first job, is make your own first job, right? Um, yeah, yeah. We'd love to have you hop on the calendar with Tyler Ashley and see if there's anything that we can help you with, because you're bringing a very unique thing to the party here. So I'm glad you're here, and glad to hear your voice in the room.
Thank
Do
you
you see,
so much.
you're welcome. Do you see how important it is to raise your hand and put your voice in the room? Like if Jessie hadn't asked a question, or this was just a format, she'd be a black square that we'd know the name, but now we're like, oh, Jessie. Right. Jessie Grant. Right. Cool. Got it. Yeah. Great. Pamela, what's your question? Oh,
I
she
think
have to roll.
Yeah,
I think she had to roll, but maybe we can answer it so she can listen to the so Pamela's question was, when auditioning for a character that you think would sing funny, would you leave a disclaimer that you can sing better, but thought this way might suit the character so they don't think you're horrible and unaware
Yeah,
of it?
no,
That's
I would
actually a
I would
pretty fun
not. I
question.
would not. I would just commit to the choice and then leave it at that. And then if you wanted to, you could also do an alternative where you sing in a normal voice.
Right. Or
But I
send
wouldn't.
a sample. Yeah.
Yeah. But as
Yeah.
you know, the chances of them listening to your explanation as to why it sounds the way it sounds, they're
Right.
either A, not going to care, or B, they don't want to. So just do it.
Right. And also, I think if singing, being a trained singer in whatever genre is a different thing than singing in character,
Mhm.
right? So the thing about singing in character is about bringing that character to life.
Right. Exactly.
And if that so whatever your interpretation using your instrument is, it's more focused on bringing that character to life, animating that character, bringing it to life, then I'm an amazing singer. And then sometimes there's characters that need to be amazing singers.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But ultimately the question is, how do I sing? And then you just sing in whatever that character, if I am the character, the question isn't how would this character sing in a certain way. It would be, how do I sing? Because then it just, inherently, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting.
Yeah. It's a good question. Yeah. And then Pamela was answering her own questions. That's good. Let's see. You should feel like you're on a treadmill. If you fall off, self-paced race. That's good. Oh, Terry. Hi, Terry. How are you? What's your question?
Hey Tish, how you doing?
Good. Good to see you.
Nice to meet you, Marco, for the first
Yeah,
time.
what's up?
My question is this. I know that you came from a background in opera where you come into this business with a lot of advantages, knowing how to take care of your vocal health and knowing how to use your full range. What I would like to know is what challenges did that present for you and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I still feel like I'm working through them. A couple things that I sort of alluded to earlier was just being too big. I still get in the way. This still happens with interactive things. When I get an audition, things tend to be a little bit too large. And so I end up like sort of, if the line is like, I don't know, whatever the line is, it will end up being like too in your face and too big. Another thing that is really, really difficult is actually the act of auditioning in general. I'm really good at taking direction to the point that like I get into the booth and people are like, wow, we're cruising. Like I just did a thing that we were done an hour early and I had more than enough time, but for whatever reason, just because I take direction really well, we're just cruising, you know what I mean? So that was something that's really difficult for me, is self-directing. And then another challenge is just creativity. When I was an opera singer, a lot of the sort of that really creativity wasn't really my job. The job was to sing and sing well, and then the director sort of guided that creativity. And so a lot of choice is very difficult for me to this day. Choice is very hard. So there's an inherent imposter syndrome that I carry sometimes when I'm in the booth, when I'm auditioning for myself, especially if I don't feel confident or comfortable that I can leverage a relationship with a casting director or leverage just like, I don't know, the channel even. So those are really the big challenges. And also just feeling like, and also just like auditions, getting enough auditions, feeling like, okay, if I don't book this one, I've got 10 others. So that's I think a challenge that all of us sort of face in the industry. So yeah, those are the unique me challenges. I hope that's helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you for your answer.
Yeah.
And I think that inherent is that it doesn't matter what other sport you've trained in, right? Marco is an excellent athlete. He's just trained in this sport, so his muscles have built in this sport. So a default or his body, his body type or whatever, taking that sports metaphor might lend itself to this and then adapt, right? And that's the same for all of us. Like what are you used to doing? And then how do you take that mastery and calibrate it to what the requirements of this medium.
And truly, I mean, I still do with it every day. I mean, I would say that right now, like I mentioned earlier, I'm in the middle of the two. I feel like I'm not quite fully where I'd like to be, but I am certainly not where I was. And so for me, you talked about gestation, and I really connected with that because I feel like just now I'm starting to dip over to I'm a voice actor fully, and it's interesting that I also happen to be a YouTuber at the same time. So it's just sort of, so I appreciated that you said that. It's true.
Yeah. Paul, hey Paul, so glad you could join us. What's your question? We'll take a few more. Hey, we see you today too. Yay.
Yeah, I loved your comment about, being 110% ready, itching to do your demo. And having a home studio is important, but you don't know what you don't know sometimes. And I'll say that when I booked my second job, it was a remote session, and You didn't know I was supposed to be recording on my end until
yeah.
we got to the end of the session. And Marco, we were done in 30 minutes. They booked an hour and we flew through it and it was great. Everything was great. It was like, oh shit, I didn't,
Yeah.
you don't know that you're,
Mhm.
there's no, I guess there's probably books out there on this, but I don't know. What else do you need to know, besides you need to have a demo and you want to get an agent at some point, but you can try to find jobs on your own, and you need to have a decent home studio. But, do you need Source Connect? Do you need,
Yeah.
I think in a post-pandemic world, Source Connect is 1,000,000% a must-have, whether you choose to buy it outright or just do it every month. Like I've just been so non-committal about it. I just always do it every month. I could have bought it out like a while ago, and I was like,
Yeah.
you
And
don't use it all the time,
no, I don't use it all the time, but when I do need it, I have it. So I bought it outright during the pandemic, and I did just upped. I had a situation where I had a session and my Source Connect was not working. I was on early with the engineer and it was not working. And he sent me another link to IDVL and it was not working. I'm like, holy crap, what's going on? I ended up having to drive to Santa Monica the old fashioned way to, to do 3 hours in the car to do a 15-minute session at Santa Monica. It all worked out, but it was very unnerving. So yeah, it's important to have Source Connect working when you do need it. And then the game is how do you calibrate, depending on what your resources are, right? Because if you don't have to spend $30 or $40 a month for something you're not using, but then what do you do? So yeah. And then Paul, I know we're talking about at least getting into the launch pad, that the last discussion we had, but that is kind of the overview of what is it that you need, and how do you just have a place to go like, okay, so here's a through line, like the questions that you have, like when you're at the beginning of the journey, right? Think about when you're at the beginning of a journey, you kind of know where you want to get to, right? But you have no idea what it is, like as you're taking the steps along, right? Or what it could be, or even that it exists, right? When I first moved to LA from Chicago, my best friend lived, I lived over here and she lived over the hill in the valley. And I always just took the 101 to get to her house. And it was like years before I understood that Laurel Canyon went through as well. Like if you just kept on going straight on that road, you also get to there, right? So I think that that's a little metaphor, but in terms of what steps are, all the things like I'm trying, like, what else would you do? What steps would you need to do anything? Right. Yeah.
You also grow as you go. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
knowing what a 3 in a row or what an A, B, and a C take. I mean, knowing how to deviate those 3 different things to have them be slightly different. Like those are things you just kind of learn over time. And I guess really, like, I wouldn't stress about it, Paul. Like you're all right. Like you did a second. I'm sure. Have you done more jobs or you've had the 2 jobs?
No, I've actually just booked, since I talked to Tish, I've booked a couple more jobs.
Nice.
Fantastic, on the trail. So that's the thing. That's the thing. One of our original senseis used to say, we came up together. We were in the same voiceover class when I first moved from Chicago. And I remember really distinctly standing outside going, we're going to do this, man. And we have, but he would come sit in on, you should do voiceover classes. And he was like, how we learned this? On the job. So we do learn it on the job. And then what else can you be doing so that when you do get the job, you have it? It's some of the reasons that we do the things that we do at the dojo the way that we do. Like, in the core class, we do spotlight coaching, we do direction circle, we do audition round, we have you audit be a spectator for the Fight Club, because that's what it's really like. So you're doing it on a weekly basis, like, this is how it goes, this is how it goes, this is how it goes, this is what it feels like, this is what it is, this is what's required. So I think it's a bit matter of doing it, and then understanding that you're working on several different realms. You're working on like those areas of mastery, right? You're continuing to open your awareness to what is possible. You're continuing to build your skills and tools. You're continuing to apply it. You're continuing to get your tech up to speed. You know, what is it to have a studio that is up to snuff? What is it to run that studio? You know, and then each time you run a job, you'll learn something more about it.
There is the
You
mental
know,
component too, isn't there? You know, don't you
oh,
think? Like,
absolutely. That's the
just like
very first thing we talk about at the dojo is that internal training. But Marco, I know the mental component is something that's very big on your journey. But what would you share on that?
I mean, for me, it was really like, I think for me, it's just about like if my agent doesn't say anything, it's good enough. And being good enough, I think is really like, I think we all aim to have like this A+ work, but honestly, even if it ends up being a B, that's perfectly fine. And I think most people like that's been the funniest part about when I've had some, at least in the video game realm, because it feels very competitive. And especially because that's like where my passions really are. Like when I finally got into the booth and recorded some things for a couple different video games this last year, I was amazed at how like it was good enough. It didn't need to be something extra. I didn't have to layer it as heavily as when I was doing the audition. It was fine. Now, of course, you want to be special and you want to stand out, but even when auditioning or emailing agents or auditioning for agents, you just have to trust that like it's good enough and you're good enough and you are enough. And it sounds, I hate these sort of phrases, but it's true. And
Gosh darn, people like me.
yeah, and you kind of just like, yeah, and you kind of just like, I mean, we're always improving, so it's never going to be perfect, and there's always going to be someone that's better than you, and that's just the facts. There's always going to be someone that's better, so you just like do it where you are. And so that's really all I can say is try to enjoy the ride. And like, because I mean, we're talking about voiceover, you know what I mean? So it's fun, and even though we want more of it all the time, we don't have to. Maybe we can release some. I guess that's the biggest one for me, honestly. That's what I didn't know. Just chill out. Not you, I mean in general, you know what I mean? Like, hope that's helpful.
Is that helpful, Paul? Yeah, yeah. And I'm super excited to have you jump in and get things going. And you know, everything you're asking about is stuff that we've talked about. So good. Well, it's 11:21, guys. I think that's good. That's a good extended dance mix. I think we got everyone's questions. Marco, thank you for joining us. Really lovely.
Sure thing.
How can we follow you on your quest to become your influencer empire quest?
My influencer voiceover empire. Yeah, feel free. I see Lane is a member for my community. Hi, Lane. Supports me on Patreon. You can feel free to check out youtube.com/Marco Meatball. That's where my main channel is. And then, of course, on Twitter, Marco D Meatball. And that's pretty much it. Those are the two places where I live basically every day. So, yeah, I really appreciate that. And of course, my website's marcodcam.com. Though I don't really update it that frequently. That's a place to just have for agents and stuff when I submit. So, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Well, this has been another awesome Ask the Sensei. As I said, we do this the first Wednesday of every month with different esteemed colleagues in the voiceover community. So you always know that at least once a month you can come and ask questions about whatever's on your mind and how you can be anything that will help you move forward, or dig deeper, or get through the reasons that we ask, or inspire you. So Kelsey and Tyler Ashley, thank you so much for keeping everything running smoothly. And Marco, I'll touch base with you. I'll put you in touch with Melina about the nth degree intensive, because I was like, ooh, I think that could be a real good fit for you.
Sure.
Yeah. And then sign up for a voiceover once over with Tyler Ashley. We'd love to hear more about where you're at, where you'd like to be. And then that Dojo 50 gets you the $50 off of the launch pad. So thanks everybody. We'll see you in the next time. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.